Global positioning systems are an important part of our world. GPSs are used every day by millions of people across the world. But where did they come from? It is important to understand how we navigated before GPS was invented.
The noonday sun, or the stars at dawn or dusk, these celestial bodies have guided man since he first sailed the seas.
Navigation that relies on the sun and the stars is called celestial navigation. This type of navigation is only reliable when the sky is clear. The development of rocket technology during World War II increased the demand for more reliable and accurate navigation systems. Although the German V-1 and V-2 rockets had a devastating effect on London, the rocket's performance suffered from several technical problems, including lack of accuracy. Even with these problems, it was clear to military leaders around the world that rockets could have important roles in the future if they could be navigated more accurately. Much of Europe was in ruins after World War II. The leaders of the United States, the United Kingdom, and the Soviet Union met in August 1945 in Potsdam, Germany, to decide on how to administer the defeated Germany in the areas affected by World War II. Shortly after this meeting, the Soviet Union quickly annexed certain areas of Eastern Europe into its boundaries.
You are in the crosshairs of the bomb sight. An enemy is centering on you, the United States of America.
We face a hostile ideology, global in scope, atheistic in character, ruthless in purpose, and insidious in method.
It became apparent that the world was entering a new period of time with a new world order that would later become known as the Cold War. Both the United States and the Soviet Union raced to build more powerful weapons than the other. This was the nuclear arms race. While this was occurring, there was also a space race, in which the newly formed NASA was challenged to launch an artificial satellite into space before the end of 1957, which was called the International Geophysical Year. On October 4th, 1957, while the Americans were still finalizing their plans, Sputnik 1 was launched.
Today, a new moon is in the sky, a 23-inch metal sphere placed in orbit by a Russian rocket. You are hearing the actual signals transmitted by the Earth-circling satellite, one of the great scientific feats of the age.
The audio you are listening to now is an actual recording of Sputnik. It is a simple repeating beep at 20.005 MHz. This sound sparked the curiosity of two American scientists and would lead to the development of satellite navigation and many other technical innovations. William Geyer and George Weifenbach worked at the Johns Hopkins University Applied Physics Laboratory. On the Monday following the launch of Sputnik, the two young physicists found themselves in a spirited discussion about the signals coming from the satellite as it orbited the Earth.
When the Sputnik first went up, we were all home for the weekend, and we were listening to the television, and everybody, I'm sure, like us, were excited. When we came back Monday, we were all talking about, and I remember at lunch, George Weifenbach and I just happened to have lunch together, and that wasn't a common occurrence. And everybody was talking about it, and to suddenly realize that everybody was talking, but nobody had been listening.
When they locked onto the signal, they connected a loudspeaker to this system so that the other scientists could listen in as well. After listening to the signal and watching it on their instruments for a while, Geyer and Weifenbach came upon the idea that they may be able to determine the location of the satellite by the apparent sound it makes as it passed near the location in Maryland.
It was kind of fascinating just to know that we could receive and record such a message from Sputnik. Not that we had any idea whatever of what we would do with it. We didn't. Little by little, Bill, who's a theorist, he got very curious about the orbit of Sputnik, just trying to understand orbital mechanics in the simplest sense.
We were all intrigued with the shifting frequency that we thought initially was maybe a instability in the oscillator, until some of us thought of it must be the Doppler shift. And I remember us taking a measurement, a real crude one, saying, yeah, that's about the right amount of Doppler shift for a satellite going by.
The Doppler effect can best be illustrated by a train whistle as it passes by. As the train approaches, the sound waves shift because of the speed of the train. The high to low shift of the sound frequency as the train approaches, passes by, and then moves away is known as the Doppler effect. They worked with their equipment for many months, taking measurements every time Sputnik passed overhead in order to be able to refine their calculations to accurately determine Sputnik's location. They refined their methods so much that they were more accurate than the Russians in determining Sputnik's location. Frank McClure was the director of research at the Applied Physics Laboratory. He was inspired by Geyer's and Weifenbach's research to reverse the physics calculations and use satellites to determine a location on the surface of the Earth. This idea that orbiting satellites could be used to determine a person's location on the surface of the Earth was revolutionary.
He called us into his office and said, close the door. And that was always an indication that either something very classified or something very important or both were going to start. And he very briefly asked us if we thought we could know, if we knew the orbit, could we find the station? Then he started outlining what he thought about the importance of navigation.
McClure's invention of the transit concept was a stroke of genius.
The work of William Geyer, George Weifenbach, and Frank McClure created the vision and laid the foundation for satellite navigation. But many years of research and hard work followed before any array of GPS satellites could be safely launched and put into orbit around the Earth. The series of events and the people involved in the story that led to the idea of satellite navigation demonstrate how technological advancement and innovation often are the result of collaboration, curiosity, hard work, and good fortune.